We are live. Let's make sure I got the right link. Share this out. Hey, look at me. So sharp. Black and white. Let's see here. We're live. Boom. Tweet. All right. We'll wait for some people to show up for a sec. Feel free to chat me when you see everything live. And I'm going to go to the Laravel test package. What did I call it? Test assertion package. That's kind of the point. I don't know what I called this. There we go. All right. Yeah, good. Looks like some people are trickling in. Let me know in the chat. You can hear me. Yes, I know. Matt Stauffer has his 11 a.m. It's his time. I apologize for the overlap. I just wanted to get some stuff out, share some things, and didn't really pay attention. So many people are streaming stuff now with, all this stay-at-home, coronavirus. Hopefully everybody's healthy to that point, staying healthy. But yeah, so many streams going on right now. Just it's hard to find a open time. So, anyways, no hurt feelings if you want to watch his. Obviously, this will be recorded and shared later on, so no big deal. But yeah, looks like some people can see me and hear me okay. Just let me know everything's good. I'm going to proceed on. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I got a little list here. First thing I want to do is I want to tag 1.0 of this. It's been out for a while. It's being used. I actually use it in all the things that Shift generates in the Confident Laravel testing course. And just, sometimes when something's not 1.0, people just feel like it's, not done or something. And I've found one final change I want to make, and then I think that's good enough to not only warrant a 1.0, but also, again, just give it kind of that finalized feel and start treating this package as more serious now that it's getting some use. So, to that point, I'm not too worried about this open PR. What does bother me about this specific package is I don't like the name that I used. So let's demonstrate this. Let me bring up Confident Laravel. Oh, I don't have that on this machine. I recently rebuilt this iMac, and it doesn't have all my fancy shortcuts. So where is Confident Laravel? There it is. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let's go to the tests. And feature test, HTTP, any one of these should probably have what I want. In fact, I think I use it. Yes, this HTTP test assertions. This is the package I'm talking about. And it contains all sorts of little things. It makes sure kind of through like reflection that an action uses a form request, or a route, or an action uses a middleware, or like routes use middleware, or all sorts of different little bits kind of inside of here. In fact, it does even more than kind of what's listed here, which is confusing me because, oh, okay, the Laravel matches are in a different one. So again, there's a lot of different little tests that I use this for. And so the action uses form request. I think there's some new things now that the model uses a form request, or sorry, the route uses a form request, and a route uses middleware. So you can pass some different things inside of here. So just a couple of helpful assertions and matchers, more for doing things with Mockery. Just some things that I feel like are outside of the scope of maybe what Laravel would offer out of the box, because these are kind of like alternative ways to test things. Which again I talk about in the course, and I have some blog posts about, which you can go check out on my blog. So for example, alternative, yeah. So you can take a look at this testing validation, for example, where I use it here. So if you want some backstory, check that out. I'll put it in the YouTube notes as well. So anyway, to that point, what I don't like about this is this HTTP assertions. It kind of like pigeonholed me into only being HTTP tests, and there's, as we can see, there's more than that. Like, yes, the foundational stuff was for HTTP tests, but now there's these matchers, there's some extra things. It looks like there's PRs for like testing that something has an event listener, and I can see a lot more that are going to be added now that more people, again, are using this package. So to both of those points, I want to give this a better name, so it's a little more generic, and then I want to give it the 1.0 tag to demonstrate, like, okay, now with this rename, I feel like this is the basis of this is pretty finalized, and from here on out, we're just going to add more and more assertions. So let's check all that out. And I didn't get any chats back, so I'm hoping that my screen size and audio is coming across. So okay, so I ran this just a second ago, but what I want to do to demonstrate this is obviously this test suite is using that package. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make a PR to effectively change this, put it on master, and then I'm going to run these tests again with the new name and just make sure everything still works. And then once that does, I'll tag it. So let's go back to the Laravel test assertions package. Let's pull everything down. And let's change this up to get checkout -b rename trait. And this will kind of be the 1.0 thing. So let's go back to here, and somewhere in here I have those Laravel assertions, I thought. Oh, so many things. Laravel, doesn't look like I have the test assertion package. So I have a little helper get working directory, which allows me to basically just run a pwd but put it into the Mac clipboard. So just a little thing there to make life easier. Okay, so what I want to do is simply just rename this. And what I thought was just something super generic, again, like additional assertions. And so this would say something like, since it's a trait, it would say like use additional assertions. Like, I think that reads pretty well in my opinion. If you disagree, feel free to put it in the chat, but that's kind of what I landed on. So again, that kind of generic names, Laravel matchers, additional assertions, like, pretty straightforward. So I think that reads nice. Like in your test class, you would say use additional assertions. Now again, another reason this is a 1.0 tag is because that's a pretty big change. It's going to break, if somebody tries to upgrade straight without changing this. So I'll want to put all that in the release notes. Super simple though. So let's go ahead and check this out. And we renamed that, and let's do git add -p. And because we did a rename in PHP Storm, it was super helpful. So it looks like in the README file, good. It changed this to additional assertions and updated the code sample in the README. That's awesome. Thank you, PHP Storm. And then, of course, it updated it in the trait. That makes sense. And there we go. So everything's good there. So let's do git commit -m, and we'll rename, or instead of rename, I like to say like why. So use use broader name for trait. Just, I like to say why instead of what. You can look at the code to see that I renamed it. Okay, and let's push origin head. And again, before I make the PR and tag everything, I'm going to jump back to confident Laravel, and let's switch back to it in PHP Storm. And we'll basically make sure. I'm really nervous that no one can hear me. Let's check the audio. Yeah, I'm using the gaming headset. That's good. Again, if you're in chat, just please shoot me a quick chat. Let me know that you can hear me and see the screen. I'd hate to be doing all this and no one can hear anything. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Whoops, not that. Okay, so what I want to do is I need to change composer to point to that dev rename trait branch. So I should be able to say dev rename trait, and we'll do composer update. That was not meant to rhyme, but it did. It's all fine. We can hear you. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate that. It's all, you know, you feel like you're talking to the void sometimes. Okay, so composer update's going to run. We'll run the test again. Of course, they should fail because I need to rename that trait. Let's just go ahead and do that while we're waiting on composer. So let's close that up and take a look at anywhere where I say this. And because I put it on the test case class, it should only be in that one spot, which it seems like it is. So let's change this. We'll just do a blanket search and replace for additional assertions, since it's only those two places anyways. Cool. So hopefully when composer, oh, you jerk. Again, I rebuilt this machine and don't have what I need on it. So let's trick all that. Packages, extension, hello, zip, learn to type. 99. Let's try that again. I heard some comments come across. Cool. All right. Hopefully that runs. If not, we're going to be really, really explicit. What are you talking about? Is it not packages? Is it package? I always forget. Let's try this one more time. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Ignore. Oh, it's platform, not package. There we go. I wondered why PHP Storm didn't autocomplete that. Composer, update. Come on, you can do it this time. Such a simple thing. Taking so long. I'm pretty confident this is going to work. Oh, okay, here we go. I was going to say, if not, I was going to jump out and start the PR. Okay, cool. So we should, if we're lucky, just be able to run all this again. So far, so good. And again, I probably only have 4 or 5 tests that are using these assertions, but it all ran well, and I renamed it. So we see that everything should be good. So I'm not going to commit anything here. I'm just going to go back to my other project, and I'm going to run git open, which is an npm package that I wrote a long time ago. Well, actually, I wrote GH, and then Paul Irish made it an npm package right when npm was super awesome. So thank you to Paul for making it more awesome, because originally it was just a little shell script, which is kind of ugly. Use broader name. This renames HTTP test assertions trait the to what do we call it? Additional assertions to communicate the now broader use of the assertions within this package. Please note this is a breaking change and will be released as the 1.0. Cool. All right, create pull request. Let's merge it. You need the plugin support for Composer JSON. What's the plugin? What does that do? And yeah, squash merge is fine since these are, it's just a one commit. Do it. And again, we know everything's good. I just tested it, so let's just go tag it. All right, releases. New release. V 1.0.0. 1.0.0. And we'll say this marks the 1.0 release as I finalized the trait naming. Please note if you were using this package before, you will need to bump, or well, that's obvious. You will need to rename the HTTP tests. Let's make sure I get this right. CD, let's go back, get diff-w. What did we call that? Show me all, oh, stupid composer. This one, get diff-w, boom. There we go. HTTP test assertion. Rename all uses of the trait to additional assertions. Yay. Publish it. There it is. Dunzo. It's out there. Okay, cool. That's that. Let's check the chat. I heard some stuff coming across. Oh, okay. Yeah. Shows installed. Yeah, nice. I'll check out that package. Sounds like there's a plugin for PHP Storm on the Composer package, so I can get some better completion in there. I'll check that out. Okay, 1.0 is tagged of this. So again, I definitely have some other stuff out here, these PRs and stuff. I'm not going to necessarily focus on these today because I still kind of wanted to better understand how this was getting used. So again, the main thing was that name, that rename, and because again, it's kind of a breaking change, I just felt it was an opportunity to go ahead and tag 1.0. So that is off the list. And just to actually, real quick, just to verify this, since we have everything open, let's change this to a proper version constraint now, and go back to Composer Update, and we'll see that packages pulls it down, hopefully, and we can run it directly. Oh, looks like packages hasn't caught up yet, so we'll give that just a bit. All right, so while we're waiting on that, let's go to Blueprint. Git pull, and looks like GitHub added a new IP. Okay, so let's go to Blueprint. That's done. I'll link to this blog post on kind of that alternative. Okay, so Blueprint, those not familiar, it's basically a code generation tool, and it actually has several open issues. To that point, I try to do a good job of going in here and tagging these and promoting the people that open the issues to take a chance on the PR. I'm always glad to help, but it definitely helps me. This is getting more and more use. In fact, it has a Laracast demo video that should be coming out pretty soon. I submitted that to Jeffrey the other day, and he said he was reviewing it. So hopefully, if it's not out probably in the next day or two, I think next week. But it's a really good demo and a look under the hood at kind of how all this works. But the point I wanted to make was I do a good job of trying to tag these. So there's a lot of like good first issues. So if you like what you see here, or you use this, or you want to help contribute, take a look at one of these good first issues and kind of get your hands dirty. So should be pretty cool. So I'm not necessarily going to pick up one of these today per se. There's a few new ones. In fact, this Matt was kind of hammering me this morning with several. So, but good stuff. Definitely need to go through those. But this open one is what I wanted to take a minute and try to focus on. I don't know if we're going to get to this. This is actually a pretty big PR, or I don't know if we'll finish it. But let's take a shot at it. It's missing some tests, and so I think it demonstrates a good new feature that I added, but also the ability to write some tests. So we'll spend maybe what time is it? We'll spend like 25 minutes on this. See how far we get. If we don't get there, that's fine. We're going to move on to the next item. The next item is adding a Laravel collection method that I used the other day, and I think would be a good addition to the framework. So we'll PR that. But I'd like to try to get this running. So let's pull down this code. Where is that? Command line instructions. That's what I want. Have you ever noticed? I know there's, before everybody chats me, I know there's the GitHub command line tools that I could be using. But have you ever noticed like it's really hard to append a PR with your own changes? Like I feel like with PRs being such a thing in GitHub and GitHub's maturity at this point, it's been around like 12 years now. I feel like this should have been addressed. But anyway, I feel like it's like really hard to add to these PRs. Ooh, that's ugly. Check out dash B on master. Do they have conflicting changes? It says no conflicts. Why did I get a merge? Why did I get a merge commit? That's ugly. Let's do this. Let's let it happen. See, again, this shouldn't be this hard. I know what happened. I know my master branch is heavier or more up to date than theirs, so that's why this happened. So I think what I'm going to try to do instead, I wonder if you can reset hard against a remote. Yeah. Let's try that. That's weird. Git reset dash dash hard. Can I do that? No. Yes. Merge API resources. Is that what they've done? Oh, I guess they did. EB10 git logo 5. No, see, I'm still ahead. I want to like not have this weirdness. How can I fix that? How can I fix that? Git pull that. Git reset dash dash hard that. That's not gonna work. Yeah, you can't reference a web URL. F. Okay. What are my options? I wonder if I can probably point to their, this is ugly, but I'm gonna do it. Git remote add, what's the name? Tective 3, boom. Git reset dash dash hard, tective 3 slash API, git fetch tective 3. What do you mean? Oh, I was on the tree. Crap. Git remote remove tective 3. Git add tective 3 blueprint. There we go. Git fetch tective 3. There we go. Now we're cooking. Git reset dash dash hard tective 3 API. Oops. Tective 3 API resources. There we go. Git logo dash 5. Okay, EB10, yay. Okay, super long way around, but it worked. That was pretty hardcore Git there. Okay, let's bring up Blueprint in PHP Storm, and let's kind of recap on this. Sorry about all that. That was that burned some time there, a long way around. Okay, so anyway, good proof though that this is more complex than it needs to be. Okay, I think the issue is that the code was good, but they didn't really have any tests. So let's kind of take a look at the code. They're wanting to add resource generation, and this is actually kind of a two-parter, which is one of the reasons I wasn't super happy, or super not super happy. I was very happy that they opened a PR, but one of the reasons I was hesitant to merge it is because the PR contained two features, and just in general, if you're going to contribute to a project, unless they're super interdependent, it's best to contribute individual issues or individual fixes at a time, just because it's kind of, if it's all coupled together, I don't know, it's just a little harder to, as the maintainer to kind of feel good about merging it, because it has a lot of work and a lot more potential to not be, accurate. Okay, so what they did was they added a resource generator, which is cool. So now in Blueprint, you can actually create a resource with a new resource statement, which is just a little resource colon, and you can say what it is. And so they added all the code for this, and of course, I'm assuming locally they probably had a little draft file that they tested all of this against. But unfortunately, there are no tests for this that were added as part of the PR. It's all just the implementation, and again, which is great, which is helpful. Definitely appreciate it. But I have Blueprint very thoroughly tested, so that's what this is missing. So I think it'll be a nice review of the feature to kind of backfill the test for it, so we can kind of demonstrate and understand how it's working. So that's kind of what I want to focus on right now. So now that we got through that git hell, let's do vendor bin php unit. And my expectation is everything's green, again, because there were no tests added. So let's start adding the tests. So let's just kind of go up top and Blueprint service provider. There's no test there for the resource generation. This is all just kind of the bindings. So the assumption is that a later test will test this binding, because Blueprint won't be able to generate resources unless you actually actually have this resource generator registered. So no test needed for that. Controller generated will definitely want a test for that, but I'm seeing this controller is API. So I want to kind of jump ahead because I want to start at maybe the lowest level possible first. So let's go down to the controller.php, and yeah, let's take a look at this. That's what I want to check out. So it looks like now, as part of the constructor, they register the controller as being an API controller. And I'm wondering how that happens. So in the controller lexer, that probably happens. So I'm just kind of working my way back up. Everything starts with the lexer. And then this is where the magic happens. So let's start here. And the other thing I want to do is I think they included a draft YAML file. No, they didn't. Maybe it's in... I think they referenced an issue. Clarify resource controller documentation? No. Where did they add this? Another pro tip, if you open a pull request that references an issue, put the reference in the pull request, please. Okay, so resource, maybe? No. I know he had an issue. Let's take out the is open. There it is, question to the maintainer. Okay, so what they added was this, but what I want to understand is this resource API bit. Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so they added this new keyword, also top level, which honestly I don't like. The reason I don't like it is because I want Blueprint to be like as trim as possible. Let's be honest, no one likes writing YAML. So I've chosen YAML for the speed, but I also don't want to make it extra verbose in any kind of way. So while I'm very glad to have the addition of this resource, which will generate a resource in Laravel, I don't like the added kind of meta property on a controller of also having to say resource API. I think there's probably more intelligent ways to do that. I get what they're doing here. If you say this, then you maybe don't have to say this. Again, I'm not too sure what the value of this is. So I'm probably gonna strip that out, because I just don't think that's anything that kind of quote unquote matters. So if it finds a resource, it sets the API. Let's just kind of see where this is being used and see if we can rip it out. again, another thing, like the test would have kind of driven you to see that you didn't need this. So before we just start blindly writing tests for the exact implementation, I want to kind of understand it. So again, I don't think we're probably going to get all the way through this since I'm having to backtrack some. I should have looked at this before the live stream just so I was a little more up to date. But my guess is if we look at these getters and setters, there's probably an is API, yeah. I bet you this is only used like in a couple places. So in the build methods, see, all they're really using this for is to update the, they're just using this to update the PHP doc block. And we can do that ourselves because we would see that you return a resource. So like if you had this statement, we would know to update that anyway for the action. So that feels like it's not necessary. Let's look at dump routes. Okay, this is actually kind of nice. So basically, if the type is web and it's API, or it's API and it's not, I don't understand that. They're skipping the controller to be they're skipping building a route for the controller if it's a mismatch between web and API or API and not API. I don't like that. So that can probably go away. Because again, we probably just want to generate the route regardless, and we could, again, be intelligent in other ways to say, oh, if the controller's prefixed with an API or something like that, like we would know that we should put that in the API routes. Or again, if it has a resource statement, we could flag that it's API anyway and put that in there. But I don't, just from a convention perspective, I don't know why you would want to mix, why you wouldn't probably prefix those anyway. So I don't want to make any assumptions about where the route goes. It would be, again, from a speed perspective, it's very simple for you to move the route between the files that it generates. So I don't think it's the end of the world if Blueprint, maybe didn't get that 100% right. And then the resource generator, if it's an API controller, if it's not an API controller, continue. See, I don't think you'd want to do that either. So yeah, there's probably a reason for this, and I'm probably missing it, but I don't think you'd want to do that. So I'm gonna get rid of this, and we'll just kind of see what washes out. So let's see where we are. Let's do this. Let's at least get one test written, and then I'll come back to this either in an afternoon live stream or on my own, because this might be a bit dull to watch me muddle through this for a second and catch up on someone else's code. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to leave this as an error. But what I'm going to do at the lowest level in the controller lexer is basically just rip this out. So let's go look at, again, what they changed. Let's go back. Oh wow, they even forked off another fork. Cray cray. A fork of a fork. Okay, so let's look at exactly what they changed, because part of me is thinking I might just be able controller lexer. Okay, so we definitely don't need to pass that in, so that can be undone. And this is resource definition, original definition. Okay, so let's see what that does next. So controller lexer, let's close all this noise down. Okay, is resource, is set definition resource, and is string definition resource. Okay, so I don't think we'd want to do that either. Generate resource tokens. Oh, I see. Did they add this or did I? I thought I added this. Definition, generate resource tokens. Original equals definition. Unset the shorthand. This gives the ability to both use the shorthand and override some methods. I actually like that. I actually like that. That's kind of nice. Okay. I see what they're doing there. I see what they're doing there. Okay. So maybe you do need this API. Would we? Probably not. I still don't think we'd need it. Yeah, there's no flag. I just kind of, it's all shorthand. Like if you say resource API, I pull it out and just add in the resource tokens anyway, and then we kind of potentially override them, which is what is what they're offering here with the array merge. So here's what I want to do. I want to write a test for allowing the overriding of a controller that potentially has that. Let's write that test and then we'll stop there. And I'm going to rip this out. So let's just go to controller. I'm going to rip out this bool API. And again, that's probably all that was in controller.php. So let's make sure that's true. And it is. So I'm just going to check this out from master. So I'm going to copy that path and git check out master dash dash that path. And there we go. Model controller should be back to normal now, because again, we don't need that. But I do like this portion. Okay, so let's write a test for this, and then we'll kind of stop there. Okay, cool. So let's go to controller lexer test, and let's just kind of get all the way down here. Like I said, this is pretty extensively tested with a lot of different fixtures. So it returns a limited resource controller. Let's copy this test, and we'll just kind of work through it and make it our own. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to say it returns a resource controller with overrides. Okay? And then we're going to take a controller, we're going to bring that in, and we're going to say something like, what did we call this? So we would say something like API.index and API.show. But we would, to their point, go back and steal this. So they did a resource, and then they did this. So I'm just kind of limiting this so we don't have to write all that. And let's just kind of tweak all this. So let's say this and that. And we'll arrow this up. And that. And that. And that's a little bit gross, but we'll fix it. Okay, so this should really be an array, not that. An array. Pop that off and pop that on. And you need a comma there, and that should be pretty damn close. Okay, cool. So we're going to say, hey, it's a resource API. It should have an API index and API show, but we're going to override index with our own kind of custom bits here, right? So we'll user.all, which I don't even think that's the right syntax. So we'll just say query.all, and then we'll say whatever here, resource, whatnot. I think I had like a respond. I just want to make this like really simple for the test. Let's respond with like a 200 or something like that. Or better yet, let's respond with users. Users. How about that? That's fun. Okay, so when we call the statement lexer, what we're expecting now is to get our version of this. So see, the original version would have given us this query all bit here. It would have packed in a default version. So what I built previously was that if you wanted to make like a resource API, just straight standard Laravel, all the cruddy methods with very common cruddy actions like querying and responding, saving and validating, editing, or well, you wouldn't edit, you would update. So the update method would take a API request with implicit model binding. It would save it, it would redirect it, whatever. So again, all that can be generated with Blueprint by simply typing this. But one of the hidden features in this very complicated and layered PR is the ability to overwrite that. And again, it wasn't really clearly called out. It was just kind of thrown in there, had no tests. So again, it's one of the reasons that PR is kind of set for a week is because it just has so much in it, and I've been waiting to catch up on it. So what I want to demonstrate here is that API does not get the default API, it gets their custom one, and then API show would of course be the one we expect, the basic one. So this would be query all, and it would be a respond with user, right? And that would be, just for example here, custom index statements. And then we don't need any of this other stuff. So again, we're not going to do any editing. We're not going to do any analysis. But we will do a show. So let's find show. There we go. Show is simply a find. I don't know what show looks like. We're going to find out. Okay. Or whoops. I do want to borrow that though. All right, let's go back to where we were. So let's copy this, or well, no, let's just overwrite this. So we'll say something like show should really just respond with, or it's probably a resource is what we're saying. So resource user, right? I don't even know if there's a show in API. Does that even make sense? Whatever, we'll find out. This would be a show statement. Okay, so when we actually call analyze, on the Lexer, we should get one controller. It should be the user controller. It should have methods. It should only have two methods, and we would expect show and custom index statements would be that, and then we would get the show statements. So this is kind of our expectation. So let me recap this real quick, and then we'll kind of watch this fail. Okay, when I pass in a controller that says user and has the resource of api.index and api.show, I should be able to override the index with my own custom stuff as well. And then I would get, of course, the Lexer should return those custom statements back that match. So we're expecting to get what we saw here. And then we're expecting Blueprint to generate the other one, which would be the show statements for resource user. Now again, these might be a little bit off because these api.show was added. I don't know what that generation looks like, but let's run it and we'll find out. So vendor, yay, lots of errors now. So this is API is broken, but let's hone in on that controller Lexer test. Where are you? Oh, that's funny. The controller Lexer test is not failing. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Give me this. Let's run that with that this time. Okay, cool. So no matching handler found for query all respond users. So it looks like this override is not working because it got query all and then didn't override ours. Okay, that's fair enough. So let's look at the code and see if we can fix this, and then we're going to move on. So my expectation is that we don't want that anymore because we're not setting the API. So definition would be array merge of this. I think this is probably incomplete, is probably what the issue is. Let's just do a good old-fashioned dump of the definition here. Okay, so, oh gosh, which one's ours? Let's filter this. So let's change this to -- filter equals that. Okay, cool. So we get index query all respond users. So that's ours. That's good. Because we called it index. Oh, you know what? I bet you these API prefixes are not not available just yet. Let's try this instead. There we go. That's a little closer. Um, let's toy around with this before, because I think I'm trying to test two things at once, which is probably a little bit nasty. Okay, so we get index respond all use. So the definition actually looks good. It actually merged those well, and then now it's looping over this. But we're not getting a matching handler for query all and respond users. And that's because why? This statement lexer should get a body. So you know what? Let's move our little dump down and see what it's getting. Because by that definition, it looks pretty good. So it's getting query all users, respond users. Did I just type something wrong? Query all, respond users. Users, what a jerk. There we go. Okay, and then render use. Okay, so we knew that that was going to be wrong. So this is not resource, again, because those API bits are wrong. So let's just copy pasta that for a second. And let's convert those quotes, because I just like using, I'm a single quotes guy. There we go. Now we pass. Okay, so that was a little bit ugly, but let's just recap real quick, and then we're going to move on to that Laravel PR, because this is going to take way more time than just the 20 minutes I thought. Okay, so basically what I wanted to confirm here was exactly what the test said. So the resource controller, I can still say something in my bid here where it's like, hey, resource, and then specify the shorthand of the resources I want to auto-generate. But to the point of the PR, I'm now supporting and testing the ability to override or augment one of those here with something else. So what might even be nice to that point is maybe adding, you know, something else just completely custom to demonstrate that it doesn't just override, but it also, that full merge is kind of working. So we don't even need anything special here. We can just say something like, you know, statement, you know, expression here. And if I spell that right. So down here, I would just want to do something else one more time with the lexer. And we'll just say analyze should get, what do we call that, custom? Yeah. It should basically get statement and expression. And we'll say something like custom statements. And now we can bump this up. So just, again, just to give it just a little more clout. And all we're really asserting here, again, this test might feel a little off. These are more unit style tests than some people might be familiar with, because I'm testing kind of, again, this low layer lexer in different parts. So when you look at unit tests in isolation, each unit test might feel probably, again, common in the Laravel community, might feel a little spell checky. But a unit test you have to look at as the complete set of tests. So they're not really meant individually to be that all-encompassing. They're meant to be actually much more isolated, much more unit. So right now I'm only testing that merge ability. I have other tests which test, you know, that it builds up the controller correctly. So in isolation, again, this might feel a little bit shallow of a test. You know, again, a little bit spell checky, but it's actually its goal. So we have this custom action, and it should have some custom statements. And if we run this again, it's just a little out of order, it looks like. So let's call this custom. There we go. Boom. Okay, so I feel pretty good about this. And again, we're going to stop there. So let's go back to the chat. Looks like I got some stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome everybody. All right, let's go about 20 more minutes, and at least I'll set up kind of the PR that I'm looking to do for Laravel. So let's go back. You know, I meant to look at where I did this. Oh, I think it's framework. Yeah, there we go. So CD, or not CD, git checkout master. What do you mean you don't know master? Git remote-v upstream. Git fetch upstream. Whoa, lots of stuff. Git checkout master. Did not match master. Oh, master match. Okay. Upstream master. Oh, come on. Get checkout dash B master. Get pull upstream master. Oh, why? Get reset dash dash hard upstream master. Just look like master already. There we go. Okay, cool. Actually, I always forget their branching strategy policies, like where you're supposed to commit to. I forget if you're supposed to commit to master or the latest stable version. Do they have a, is it contributing or is it just down here? Oh, it is in the docs. Where are you? Which branch? There we go. All bug fixes, minor features that are fully backward compatible with the current release may be sent to the latest stable branch. Major new features. I wouldn't consider this a major new feature. Okay, so we should go to the latest stable branch. So git checkout 7.x. There we go. And now I'd want to get checkout dash B. Let's call this until collection method. Cool. This is what I want to add. So let's bring up PHP Storm and framework. Yeah, good. Okay. Let me get a little scratch pad here. Let's do this. Let's just make a new PHP file. And let me kind of demonstrate until. And I actually kind of chatted with Adam about this, Adam Wathen, to ask like, hey, do you know if this is in there? Do you have anything? And he was saying that he actually puts this in a macro pretty often. So the backstory here is, let's say that I have a set, and this will be good because I'll use this for the tests. Let's say I have a set of like one or two, three. This isn't that interesting. I don't know why I'm making these strings. And again, also as part of this, as I'm typing this out, if you all know a way to do this with a single collection method, let me know. But let's say I had an ordered set, and this might not sound very interesting with the simple example of 1, 2, 3, 4, but if you think about it in like I want a bunch of like, I think what I use this for is I wanted shifts. I wanted to get all shifts out of a set of shifts within a date range that I had already ordered from Eloquent, but I only wanted to do them in like sets for that week. I was kind of like breaking them up. And I know you can do take, and I know you can filter, and I know you can do all this stuff. And I ended up doing that with existing methods, but it ended up being a combination of like 2 or 3 methods. And I think it would be really cool to just be able to have been able to say something like, okay, I have this collection of all these ordered data, and I want this chunk of it, but not necessarily chunk as in 10, because that exists already. I want this chunk based on a condition. And then once you hit that condition, stop. That's what I want. So I want to take things until. And Rails actually has like a Rails collection methods, or I think they call them array methods. Array take. I think they have take when or take until or something. But anyways, that's where I came up with the name. Take while. There we go. They have a take while, and this kind of does what I'm after, right? It goes in this, and basically it's effectively filter, but it's not so much, it doesn't go through like the entire thing. Like it's a combination of being short-circuited as well as like not having to make a very strong condition. It's already pre-sorted and you know to stop there. So I think there's some value in this because I actually like once I built this, it was kind of funny. It was one of those things where like once I had it, I kind of started using it a bunch. So again, let's just kind of see what this looks like. So again, yeah, exactly. You can do this with filter, you can do it with each, you can do it with reject, you can do it with things that exist. That's not the point. But the point is, I think it's a nice syntactic sugar to be able to kind of just have that. So what I would want to support is something like collect, order set, and be able to say something like until, 4 in this very generic case, right? And the expectation would be that this, this returns a set of, 1, 2, 3, or let's just drop that, right? And then I could even get like a little more fancy with it, of course, with a callback of like, um, maybe function, item, and I could do some condition in here, return, you know, item, you know, percent to like the first even. Once you find an even one, quit. I have no idea why you'd want to do that, but the point is I want to support both formats. I want to support like the key value. I want to support like a simple value, and of course like a named value. So you could say key and then like 3 or whatever. So again, pretty pretty straightforward. But it'd be nice to just kind of have this until and again support it in a very syntactic sugar kind of way. And again, underneath the covers, we might just build it with all the existing methods. So like everyone's saying in the chat, like I could do an each until and return false and all that kind of stuff, or a reject or a filter. So I have every confidence that we would just use under the covers something else and provide this as syntactic sugar. So it's probably going to be pretty easy to build this, but let's check it out. So let's just add the method. Okay, so let's add the method, and what we're going to do here is we probably want to find like what filter does. Callback equals null. Okay, actually I want to find something that does. I want to find something that takes. Let's go out and take a look at the docs. I think that might be helpful. So let's go up here and let's go to collection. And not eloquent, digging deeper. Let's look at available messages. I'm just trying to model what this would be very, very close to. Probably like a map almost. No. I'm looking for just an example method. Maybe a when? Or like a where? I know where would be pretty darn close. Yeah, I want something where I can say this, or I can also pass it like a condition. Or not a condition, sorry, a callback. Where's close? Let's see what where looks like. That way we can, I like making sure, I think you have a really good chance in the, in all, like the whole PR world, if you can just model it off something that exists. There's less back and forth. So I really like to try to, or maybe when is good. When true function, when false. Unless it's not exactly it. Okay, I'm getting annoyed with this. Let's just do this. Let's block that down and just look at them ourselves. Okay, so callback key, key operator value, contains. Contains could be close, maybe. Items callback, diff keys, duplicates, accept, filter, depth, get, no. Where are you? Last. There we go. Pluck value key. Pluck's got to be able to take a callback. No? Which one of these? I know I've seen that before. Come on. Put, pull. Do none of these do that? That's not. That can't be right. Sort by value retriever. This might be what I'm interested in. Let's take a look at the definition of sort. I think sort might be a good one. Oh, come on, show me a cooler example of short. sort's not it. Okay, I'm gonna phone a friend here. Does anybody know, in off the top of their head, which collection method takes? Yeah, see, this takes a value, or let's find sort by. Sort by is a proxy. How does that work? That's fancy. Okay, you know what? Let's just write it ourselves. Okay, so this is going to take, this is basically going to take a key, and then a value, and value is potentially null. And the trick is key could be a callable. We'll come back to that. Let's just do one thing at a time. So just to kind of hack this ourselves, we would say something like return, what would we want to say here? We said something like return this each. Let's just do it with each right now. And then we would say function item. And see, this isn't gonna work so hot. But what we can do is just say return item, if item equals to key. And yeah, we'll have to do like maybe strict equality. This is actually going to be denser than I thought. Let's bring that in and we'll return false. And so we could probably just shorthand this. We could just say return item equal to key or not equal to key. And then the second it is, it'll stop, I think. I think that's how that works. Let's find out. I hear some beeping in the chat. Okay, so let's run this. Why not? Let's just run it ourselves. Psh, what the hell? Require vendor autoload. That should allow me to just leverage these collections. Maybe. What do we call this? Until? That's going to blow up. Let's do this. Let's just comment that out for now because we don't really have all this. And let's say dump. Okay, so that didn't work. Okay, so let's figure this out. We'll probably have to read the docs. And to that point, let's we know what our original collection is. We don't need to dump that out. Okay, let's go take a look at collect and come back here and let's take a look at each. I know there's a way to short circuit it. If you would like to stop iterating through the items, you may return false from your callback. Cool. That seems good. Maybe this shorthand is not pretty. So once item equals key, we should return false. And it should give us the collection back. You know, honestly, I haven't messed. Each does nothing. What do you mean each does nothing? If you would like to stop iterating, each iterates over the method and path of each item. Oh, each does nothing as in it doesn't return a new collection. It just stops the iteration. Yeah, I think I remember that. That's why I wasn't able to, that's why I had to do this with like a couple different methods. Yeah, because I don't think filter supports the same kind of like iteration. Let's see where this. Yeah, this is why it's a little tricky to do with filter. And each just loops over them and it quits. So like it'd almost be like I'd have to like collect these, collect them through each, which is really kind of ugly. So yeah, return is just going to return the original collection. It doesn't actually map those. So how could we do this? Okay, let's just make it ugly and then we'll make it pretty. Collection equals collect, and we'll say something like if item's not equal to key, then we're gonna collection push, I think, item. Let's just make it work. And then else will return false to stop the iteration. Super ugly. I know. I can hear everybody chatting. Still's not happy. Is push not what I think it is? Oh, we're returning. We're still returning that one. Let's return the collection. Hey, there we go. So that actually worked. Again, super ugly, but we're getting there. Okay, so you need to push items to another collection. Yep. Or you need to find the position and splice it. Take a look at splice. Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah, because I think the only thing about until is I don't, like with this approach, clearly it works. It's going to get more verbose as we start to support these additional things. But what I like about this is, or don't like about this, is that it's kind of not operating on the same collection like the other methods would. So if you dumped out of here and tried to use something else and didn't assign this, it's gonna be weird. So I kind of don't like that it's. On one hand, it's really cool that it's immutable, but on the other hand, it's not, again, in line with the existing collection method. So I don't want to do that. Yeah, so let's take a look at splice. That could be cool. What does splice do? Splice. This method removes and returns a slice of items starting at the specified index. Ooh, that could be cooler. So what do we have here? With splice, you get 2 collections before and after. Oh, you get the chunk. Removes and returns a slice starting at the specified index. You may pass a second argument to limit the size. In addition, you can pass a third argument containing the new items to replace. Yeah, okay. So I wonder if there's a find or a where. Let's do, yeah, this is cool. Except, there's so many cool methods here. The accept method returns all items in the collection except for those with the specified key. Yeah, see, we can't use those because, again, they're not going to limit after. It's all about that sorted collection. He's working on a PR function similar to... Oh, does somebody have this? Send me, send me the link to their PR. Let's take a look at kind of what they did. No point in me hacking around if something exists. Yeah, so there's still some comments coming across. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to take a break for lunch here, and then I might do a little more in the afternoon, or maybe just do a quick video of kind of the final approach. So let's backtrack just a second, and I'll take a look at what exists out there. And again, I know Adams, he said he had a macro for this, so we'll just get whatever he had as well. So the reason I don't want to use filter is filter would only filter on the condition. Well, you know what? Screw it. Instead of doing it, let's just write it, right? So let's take this and copy this and change this to filter. And we'll say something like return item, it's not equal to 3. And we'll dump that. And of course, this will skip 3, which is great, but it doesn't stop there. Is kind of the issue we have. Yeah, so 1, 2, and 4, right? So filter's not going to do exactly what we want, because the whole point here of until is that it becomes an expression. It's an expression of when I want to stop collecting items. So I want to take a collection of items until I hit a certain condition. Whereas filter is, I want to take a set of items that don't, or that match this particular condition, that are filtered by this particular condition, right? So it's just it's a subtle nuance, and again, you can do what we want with a combination of all sorts of methods, as we can see here with each, with take, with splice. There's probably 15 different ways you could use existing collection methods and chain them together to do what you want. But I just felt them to be a little verbose, and each one has a bit of a got you, as you saw. So it'd be nice to kind of just take this syntactic sugar and do all that magic underneath the covers and just say something like, hey, I have this ordered set of items, and I want to take everything until something, or take while is what Rails calls it. So I think this nice little until version of that would be pretty cool. But I want to make sure to support a couple different things, like just a raw expression, more of a where syntax, and then of course a custom callback that'll evaluate to when you should stop. But it sounds like there's some stuff that exists out there. So yeah. So anyways, anyway, oh, there wasn't an existing one out there. You were answering another. Okay, thanks. Good clarification. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I need to take a break anyway. Get some water, use the restroom, get a snack. So I'm gonna message Adam and see what he's written, and we'll kind of I'll probably just dissect it and open up a PR with it here in a bit. So I'll either do a very short Twitter thing and I'll put it on the thread, or I might do another live stream later on if I have time. So we'll see. It's Friday, so I kind of try to knock off a little early on Fridays, especially with everything going on. It's good mental health to just take an afternoon sometimes. So thanks everybody for joining. A little haphazard a bit there, but just kind of wanted to go through everything. So I'll post links to all these PRs in the YouTube video comments here in just a minute. And again, I'll tweet out in the reply thread there with a link to the final video. So again, thanks everybody. Have a good weekend, and see you all next week.